I showed this slide like this before. I wanted to show you this other framework. I don't know which framework I like better. I like this one a lot. So one of the things that I always try to do is I always figure out, you want to be the expert. My favorite analogy is, if you're going to get your appendix out, would you go to an expert or just your ordinary doctor? Expert. It's going to charge you. He's going to charge you more. Everybody would pay a premium for that thing. I remember when I first started selling solar, like my whole commission was around $3,000. The whole thing, inside and out. That was the average, right? So to get this, like I had to move some product. You see what I'm saying? Where we've got it now where we're splitting and it's about 3 to 5K on each side of this equation. I would attribute a good chunk of that is just becoming an expert or much more proficient at your product and actually understanding your product so that you can be persuasive. People will pay for your expertise. And so one of the things I do is I come in here and I'm like, I put my arm around them like, okay, man, we're friends. Like, see this table right here? See, if you got Tyson right here and he's right here and we're working on this thing together. It's like he's on the other side of the table. Dude, I can do that. Freaking sitting across from somebody's like, that's kind of an aggressive, that's not, yeah, I'd come over here. I'm like, yeah, Tyson, man. I'm like, I'd stand right here and I'm like, yeah, there's the problem. Let's look at that problem, right? So we're on the same team looking at the problem. And so I always try to position myself as the expert where I put my arm around them and then us look at that particular problem and figure out how to sell it. If you guys are in here making a $50,000 decision, who in here would want somebody that you could trust that felt like that they were actually trying to help you and do you good, not pull one over on you? See, everybody in here would want that, right? You'd want to deal with the expert. But would you be willing to pay extra for somebody that could identify, like, you do this wrong, it's going to hurt. You do this wrong, it's going to hurt. Like, I want to help you understand the differences so you don't get spanked. Like if I went and bought an HVAC unit or a heating, like an air conditioning unit on my house, I want to know which one's the good one. I'd rather buy the good one than buy a piece of junk and then have to tear it out and do it again next year. Put yourself as an expert, because I even use this. Anybody ever seen Wizard of Oz? I'll use a line out of Wizard of Oz with client. I was like, look, dude, I'll just pull back the curtain and I'll just show you behind the scenes so you can see what we're looking at. Would that help you? Like, what's somebody going to say to that? You're going to agree, right? Y'all seen Wizard of Oz? Saw the tiny man behind the big curtain? I'm just going to pull back the curtain. I'll just show you what we're looking at. So I show myself as an expert. So then what I do is I start saying, okay, hey, let me see your quote here. And let me see your quote here so that I can start seeing it and I can start identifying it. And then what I'll do is I'll start trying to coach them and help them understand the value proposition. But like whenever I do a competition, the last person the last person they see is the one that's got the best voice out of all. So I go over and they're like, oh, we're going to do a competition. I'm like, okay, cool. Go get your quotes. And after you get all confused, because it's a little bit confusing, I am 100% of the time the last person, unless they pull a fast one on me. I'm always the last because I have the best chance of winning in the very, very last position. You don't like it? Too bad. That's how the game's played. And so then what I do is we'll get their offers. We'll look at it. I'm the last person in here. And then what I'll do is I'll try to make sure that the offer I have is better than the offer that they got. And that does not necessarily make it cheaper. And why would the customer want to be in pursuit of the cheapest thing? Any of you guys ever pulled like shocks off a car? Those big old freaking springs, the compression springs on your shocks. Here's my shock. Now you can get this stupid little thing that comes in here and does a little clamp right here and hooks onto it. And it's got a screw right here. So then it's a game. You get your drill and you cramp this down and then you go squish this one down and then this one down and then this one down. This right here, when I do this, it probably takes me half hour, 45 minutes, maybe longer. It's such a pain. This is probably a $50 tool, okay? I saw this thing online. It was sweet. It had this thing like a steering wheel. Because what it is you crank the steering wheel and then it causes this thing to go up and it compresses it. So all you got to do is put your spring right in here, bite into it, you grab the wheel and you go whoop. I could do that thing in about 60 seconds, which was convenient. I'd have shot myself in the head, given up and rode my side-by-side wrong. $40,000 machine that was configured incorrect because I got too impatient to do it right. This thing cost me $600. I paid $600 and I bought that thing because I couldn't bear doing this. And what happened here is this thing right here, I bought speed. If you can do something faster, whatever, people will pay for speed. So here's what you know, people aren't gonna pay the cheapest. Well, collectively they don't, but it's our job to help them see the value. Literally that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be an expert. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Then I'm trying to lay out the offers, trying to make sure I'm the last person. Then I'm gonna go in there and try to exhaust all options to close this deal and win. And rinse and repeat. Done it over and over and over again. It took me a long time to learn this, guys. I lost a lot of deals. I was the first guy in, and then everybody else was stealing my deals. And then when I realized that the first guy always loses, I started taking the last position, and then all of a sudden I started winning and they started losing.